Today, Elon Musk rules his companies with an iron grip. Through dual-class share structures, supervoting rights, and stacked boards, he has engineered a reality where he answers to almost no one. He is, by design, virtually unfireable. But to understand this intense need for absolute command, we have to look at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. We have to look at the first 30 years of his life, starting in Pretoria, South Africa, where he had no power at all. In the late 1970s and 80s, the collapsing apartheid regime created a backdrop of severe systemic volatility. State-enforced crackdowns, riots, and armed conflicts were part of the daily environment, establishing a baseline where extreme violence was simply normalized. Young Musk was ill-equipped for this world. He was a socially awkward, bookish kid on the autism spectrum, completely unable to blend into the hyper-masculine, aggressive culture of white South African youth. That physical vulnerability caught up with him at Bryanston High School. A group of older boys ambushed him, threw him down a flight of concrete stairs, and repeatedly kicked and beat him until his face was swollen shut. The attack left him unconscious and hospitalized. Lying in that hospital bed, he absorbed a harsh lesson. The world is inherently dangerous. Nobody is standing by to protect you, and showing any sort of unguarded weakness is a fatal error. The cruelty of the schoolyard, however, was about to be eclipsed by the supposed safety of his own home, under the watch of his father, Elon Musk. When Musk finally returned from the hospital, Errol didn't offer comfort. Instead, he sided with the boys who had put his son in the hospital. He forced Elon to stand silently for over an hour, berating him and calling him a loser. Errol's household was defined by intense emotional volatility and psychological manipulation. He would rapidly transition from bouts of charismatic engagement to screaming at his children for hours, calling them worthless and pathetic. That continuous domestic betrayal carved out a permanent psychological vacuum. Musk learned early that relying on figures of authority only invites abuse. Absolute self-reliance became his only viable survival strategy. At age 17, he found his escape hatch. To avoid mandatory military conscription and sever ties with his father, Musk fled to Canada with a few $1,000s in traveler's checks. After transferring to the US and graduating from Penn, he abandoned a PhD program at Stanford after just 2 days. The consumer internet was emerging, so he moved to Silicon Valley to found a software mapping company called Zip2 with his brother, Kimball. Capital was virtually non-existent. They lived and slept in a tiny rented office, showered at the local YMCA, and built a massive wheeled wooden case around a standard desktop PC to trick potential investors into thinking they had a high-powered supercomputer. The hustle worked, securing a $3 million investment from a venture capital firm. But the cash came with a brutal stipulation. The investors forced Musk to step down as CEO, deciding his lack of management experience made him unfit to lead. Musk tried to organize a boardroom revolt to win his job back, but he failed. The board eventually sold Zip2 to Compaq. Musk walked away with $22 million, but he had zero operational say in the outcome. The payout was massive, but being marginalized and deposed inside a company he built stung deeply. It reinforced his darkest suspicion. Institutional investors wielded their power just like the bullies of his youth. Musk took $12 million of those Zip2 earnings and founded X.com, a digital banking superstore. Facing a ruinous cash burn war with a rival startup named Confinity, the two companies agreed to merge. The merger triggered what Silicon Valley insiders called the Palo Alto Holy War. Musk demanded the technical architecture run on Windows NT, while Max Levchin defended a Unix-based system. The ideological battle completely paralyzed engineering. In September 2000, Musk boarded a flight for his honeymoon. While in the air, his executives gathered to plot his removal. By the time Musk's plane touched down in Sydney, the board had executed a coup in absentia. They stripped him of his CEO title and handed the reins to Confinity co-founder Peter Thiel. Being overthrown by his own team while physically trapped on an airplane cemented a harsh reality. Shared corporate power creates structural weakness, leaving the door wide open for betrayal. But instead of burning the company down in a fit of rage, Musk did something unexpected. He exercised extreme tactical restraint. accepted an advisory role on the board, and quietly waited it out. That calculated patience paid off immensely. When eBay acquired the company, now renamed PayPal, Musk walked away with roughly $165 million in stock as its largest shareholder. This specific capital injection gave him exactly what he needed. It provided the financial leverage required to guarantee he would never again have to answer to a venture capitalist, an oversight committee, or a hostile board of directors. The physical beatdowns in Pretoria and the executive depositions at Zip2 and PayPal permanently fused together in Musk's mind. They formed a rigid operational philosophy. Corporate management is not a collaborative exercise. It is a state of continuous existential warfare that requires unassailable dictatorial authority. Today, Musk's massive corporate empire operates as an architecture of control. It is meticulously fortified from the inside out, ensuring the vulnerable kid from South Africa can never, ever be overthrown again.